Matthew Connell, entrepreneur, you're very welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Nicky.
Welcome. And you're not going to be here very long, eh? You're off to Marbella to a mastermind session. What is that?
Yeah, so I'm part of a entrepreneur group called the Powered University. So it's a group of collective agency owners, different business personnel. So there's fitness coaches in there, digital marketing agency owners, a whole different kind of variety of people. And we're off to Marbella to do a mastermind with Adam, who is the owner of Powered University and the mentor there. So he's doing a 3-day mastermind over in Marbella in a villa over there. So it's a 3-day event. I think it starts with a dinner. Then day 2 is the mastermind event where they have different entrepreneurs that will be quite high level, multimillionaires from different industries. So they have Rob Lisbeth, they've got James Blackwell, who is he's in can't actually remember where he's in. So they've got Rob Lisbeth, who is a fitness entrepreneur. They've got James Blackwell. They've got Adam Power, and then a variety of other different individuals that would be quite high up in their field. Doing a presentation on the Saturday, followed by the kind of after party networking event that evening, and then on the Sunday, I think there's a gym session, followed by a networking event at a beach club. So there's about 200 of us going over to that now. Wow. I'd only know maybe 50 people that are going. Not that I've met them all. I've only met probably 1 or 2 people that are actually going over. I've met Adam himself, and then a friend of mine, Sean, as well, is going. But yeah, there's a good few of us going over to network, level up, just take in what the people that are higher than us are, the information that they're giving out, and really kind of just level ourselves up.
Yeah,
business.
So, by the way, it sounds amazing. I'm jealous because Marbella is a wonderful place. So I hope you have a good time. But I'm interested in a few things here. So Adam Power. So the university is called Powered University.
Powered University. Yeah.
Powered University. And Adam is a name that's come up in conversations with some of your compatriots in recent shows. So what does Adam do, and how does he go about his business?
Yeah, so Adam is like an overall mentor to us all. So Adam originally had a digital marketing agency. I think he started with his marketing agency about 8 years ago, so long before I did. So he was kind of one of the first people, let's say, in Ireland that would have started a marketing agency and really kind of scaled it up. I think at the height of their agency, they were doing maybe 200, 300K a month. So he has been through what everybody else in the Powered University needs to go through. So he is our mentor in that aspect. So he would give us advice on everything to do with client acquisition, to do with like fulfillment, strategy, service delivery, and just general, mindset. He's very big on mindset as well, which I'm quite big on as well. But just general, if you need anything in the group, Adam's in there, 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
So he's there to guide us all, and everybody within that Powered University has different needs. So, for instance, Wendy, who you've interviewed, she has a different need than me. Ross has a different need than me. So, but Adam has been through all of our different needs, so he knows how to answer the different questions that we have. So he's there to guide us on all of our individual needs, which is cool. It's very valuable, because in the business world, like, it's quite a lonely place. It's an individual sport a lot of the time. Like, I have a team myself, but I spend 5, 6, 7 hours a day here on my own on a laptop. So it's good to have that Adam to touch base with. And it's also good to have the community there that, you can reach out to individuals. If I have a problem with, say, email, or I need someone to do email, like I've reached out to Wendy, she does email, and we've worked together on a client.
You join forces.
Yeah, we join forces. Yeah. Or if, say, for instance, Brian, who's quite good with automations, if I need something to do it, automate within the business or AI, like I can jump on and speak with Brian.
Yeah.
So it just opens a lot of different avenues where you might have been quite closed in other aspects, you might have been quite closed, so it's a very valuable group,
Yeah.
the university.
So he started a digital marketing agency.
Yeah.
So what exactly is that?
So a digital marketing agency in a roundabout way could be anything that helps a business grow in the digital world. So when you're looking at a digital marketing agency, usually a broad digital marketing agency could be doing SEO, they could do Facebook ads, Google ads. Adam specifically, I think, went down the Facebook ads route, which I did myself. So a digital marketing agency in the Facebook ads route would help businesses either generate leads or generate sales or brand awareness, whatever it may be, with paid advertising. So that's kind of in a general way what a digital marketing agency does.
Okay, so myself and my wife, we own a commercial cut flower farm called the Bloomsmith, right?
Yeah.
So Adam would come and work with us. We'd contract Adam, and he would put a plan together. Part of that plan would be us purchasing some Facebook ads to target the right people that we want to target.
Yeah.
And he would run the whole program from start to finish. Is that right?
Yeah, in a roundabout way. Now, it may be like he would consult with you on, okay, we need a better website. Okay, first of all, because if we're directing traffic to this website, it's not going to convert, or you're not going to generate leads. It doesn't have the right forms. So it could be a starting point. So we generate this, or he would make out a strategy for that site. And then he would do an ad strategy. Okay, we want more leads for your business. So this is the strategy we're going to go down. We need these creatives. We need the information off you about the customers. We need what customer demographic and target area you want to target. And they will put in a strategy to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what do you do?
So originally, I started a marketing agency about 4 years ago. And I started out as MJC Media, which was a digital marketing agency primarily using Facebook ads, but I was kind of casting a wide net of doing the Facebook ads, but doing it for, say, for instance, a local business, and then maybe doing some social media management for them as well. So putting up their posts on Instagram and things like that. So that's originally what I started with. But I quickly kind of came to realize that I was casting too much of a wide net, and there wasn't as much money, say, for instance, in the lead generation side. But then COVID-19 hit, and the clients I did have, because they were local businesses, they couldn't work.
Yeah. So
then I looked into the e-commerce side, which was a lot different than the lead generation side. It's a lot more complex. It's a lot more moving parts, but it very much interest me, because you can see a direct impact from your ads, spending money and then making money. So you can see a direct impact. You can see the direct return on ad spend, which is really kind of interesting. I could go to clients and I could say, okay, we spent €500, we made back 2,000. Okay.
Yeah.
So that would be, I think it's a 2.5x return on ad spend.
Okay. So tell me about what an e-commerce client is. And I know it sounds like a ridiculous question, but what is it?
So an e-commerce client is basically anybody that sells a product online. So it could be a wide variety. So you could have an e-commerce client that sells, they sell plants, but their storefront is basically an online store. They don't have a brick and mortar physical shop. Okay, so anything can be anything: t-shirts, cups, mugs, like we've got clients I work with currently today. I've got a luggage brand, supplements brand, clothing brands, fightwear brand, but it could be anything really. I'm looking at the pegs out in the back and the line that you could be selling pegs online.
And is it also clients who provide a service as well as products?
It can be clients that provide more so an educational service. It could be.
Right.
So anything that is sold online, generally like a local service business, they would be more lead generation because they'd have a different sales process. So if you think about it, somebody who's getting their bathroom renovated, you could sell a bathroom online. You could have a button saying click and buy now, but it could be 10 grand. So people are going to want, it's a different sales process. That's more so lead generation, where you would generate the leads for that business. They would call them, they'd have a different sales cycle. They go out, they do their, evaluations, they do their quotes, and then they proceed with the business. So that it is generally that's online, but they're not selling directly online.
So let's take something like a life coach. Is that something that you would take on?
For me personally, probably not,
Okay.
because it's not within my customer demographic that I work with, and I haven't worked with them before.
Yeah.
We have worked with educational businesses, so courses. We've got a client currently that does a study bundle. They're called Future Nurse. So they sell a study bundle online. So they're directly selling.
Right.
Someone clicks on the ad, goes to their page, has a bit of a look around, does their research, comes back, buys it, they get the study bundle delivered. So it's an online course, whereas a life coach is going to be a different sales cycle altogether as well, because they're probably going to want to have a call with the life coach, and they're not directly selling that from click to purchase.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. So you're just really getting people into the top of the funnel there. And
yeah.
And it's up to the business owner then to work their way through that funnel to get to the sale.
It's just a different type of sales process, and it's something that we cannot then have control over their back end, whereas we can have control over a lot more on the e-commerce side, to deal with the purchase. Whereas it's more lead generation with the say, for instance, a life coach.
Yeah,
it's more so lead generation, but it's the same online advertising. We would use the exact same tools. Like, we could do that, but it's just not something that we specialize in doing.
Yeah, if I hear you correctly, your target market is quite specific, and you've spent a lot of time, obviously, and probably a lot of mistakes along the way.
100%. Yeah.
Getting to your target market. So are you where you want to be now? Are you hitting the right people all the time, or are you still making mistakes?
I would say I'm round about where I want to be, but still making mistakes. Yeah, there is. I think there's always going to be mistakes and failures, and if there isn't, then you're doing something wrong. But I'm where I want to be at the moment with the target market and working with the people I want to work with. And the caliber of clients that I have, who would be in the right target market and where I want to be.
Yeah. Are you working on your own? You mentioned a team earlier on. Do you have a team?
Yeah. So originally when I started out, I was working on my own, doing everything by myself, but I quickly kind of got to realize that I wasn't an expert in everything that I was doing. So I started hiring in a team, and then bringing on more clients. You've less time in the day. Your work starts to maybe get a little bit sloppy. So you do need other people to help you and to fulfill the client's needs. And as well, just to make sure the quality of work is up to scratch. Because if I was handling everything myself, I'm going to make more mistakes. And as I said, I'm not the expert in everything that I do. Like, for instance, we have clients that do Google ads. I originally started with Facebook, and that was my kind of bread and butter, doing the Facebook ads. But I didn't know Google ads. I did try them before, and I wasn't able to do them. So instead of me saying, we don't do Google ads, I went out and searched for someone who was an expert in Google ads who could fulfill that client's needs. Because when we're looking at the e-commerce side and advertising with e-commerce, like Google and Facebook work really, really well together. So instead of just having one avenue that we could go down and then passing them on to another agency or saying we didn't do that, I brought someone else in who was a specialist in that and who could do that. I think that's a really important aspect in business, to hire someone in for something that you are not.
To fill the gaps.
Yeah, to fill the gaps, because you're not going to get there alone 100%. Like,
yeah. If we take an example of, say, one of your biggest clients, right? You don't have to name them if you don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm interested to understand what your week looks like. So this week we're in first week in March.
Yeah.
And what does your week look like just for that particular customer? How much interaction have you got with them? How often are you in contact? what work are you carrying out on their behalf, and so on.
Mm-hmm. So I'd say one of our biggest, I'll give you our best client currently at the moment, because we've been working with them for 3 years, is a luggage brand. And they're really, really successful. So we brought them up. We started partnering with them, I'd say, 3 years ago in March. So it's exactly 3 years. And they have seen like really, really good growth. Like when we started with them, they were doing, I think, around 10K per month in revenue. They were on Shopify. They were selling actually on Amazon. They were doing quite well on there, but on Amazon you don't generally own the traffic, so you can't set up your email on the back end, and you're not really building your brand. You're just an Amazon brand. So they wanted to grow at Shopify. So we spoke with them. They came on board, and I think within the first 2 years, they were gone from 8.5K to 5. Their biggest month was 580,000, so exponential growth for those guys.
And are you able to pinpoint how much of that growth was attributed to your efforts?
Yeah. There's certain amounts that you can, and there's certain amounts that you can't, because there's a mixture of organic as well. But when you look at it from their timeline up until that point, they were only ever doing around between 8 and 12K. That was their up and down between months. I think their highest month was 13K on a once off. So we came in, we implemented a strategy for them, brought on Facebook ads, brought on Google, implemented email marketing for them. And then ever since then, they've never done like less than 100K a month. So like a large amount of that would be attributed to us.
Yeah.
But there's also, they're going to grow because of the growth of and paid ads. They're going to grow organically as well. People are going to know about them more. They've brought in distributors.
So distributors, so they have some distributors, yeah.
Yeah, so they've brought in distributors as well. So there's going to be an overall growth, but we can directly see from where we started to where we are now, we've a big impact on them. So the general week would look like with these guys. I had a call with them yesterday myself, just a call with them, a personal call, and then we would be in contact with them every day in Slack. So we use Slack as our main point of contact. So like a messenger app for business. From there, we have a call with them on Thursday. We have a bi-weekly call every Thursday. So we've called with them this Thursday, and we'll go over everything from strategy to budgets to forecasts, to different ideas we might have about ads, what we need to do in certain placements on ads, how's our Google looking, how's our Facebook looking, and from when they started, they were originally selling to the USA, and now they've taken over market share in Switzerland, EU, UK. So we're discussing all these different channels and all these different market areas. Okay, like how's the UK doing, how's Switzerland doing, and so on.
Yeah, they must love you, do they?
Yeah, we have quite good relationship. Have a quite good relationship. They were originally meant to come to Dublin just before Christmas, I think, but they weren't able to.
Oh, so they're not based in Ireland?
No, they're based in Switzerland.
Based in Switzerland,
yeah,
okay.
So, I think I've only got one client currently, and that's actually based in Ireland.
Okay. Yeah.
So the rest are international.
Mostly Europe or mostly the States?
I've got one in the UK, a couple in the States, one in Sweden, one in Ireland, and sorry, I've got two in Ireland. Yeah. So all over the place.
Okay, so am I right in saying then that for that particular client that you're talking about, are we saying 5 hours of work on that customer this week, or are we talking more or less than that?
It depends if you're talking about me or individually me or the team. So I've
just you,
just me. Yeah, probably around 5 hours for me personally.
So therefore, am I right in saying that you could confidently handle somewhere between 8 and 10 customers at any given time in a week? Is that about right?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how do you scale that if you wanted to bring in more clients?
Yeah, good question. So that's where Adam would come in with the university. So my kind of ideal outlook on that would be to bring in an operations manager to semi-replace me you know, so it wouldn't be to 100% replace me because there's some things I'd still want to do, but bringing an operations manager who was doing some of the things I would do. Also bring in, I haven't got a VA currently, which I'd like to bring in.
What's a VA?
It's a virtual assistant.
Virtual assistant.
So,
Okay.
yeah, so you get a VA maybe from, if you can get a VA from the Philippines or somewhere like that, that's quite low cost. And they would be more generally for general kind of tasks that can be done by anybody to free up more of my time.
What,
you know?
so like what? Like monitoring email or something like that? Is it?
Yeah, say monitoring emails, maybe if there's any kind of design things that need to be done, creative strategy, research. Like I would do all those things personally. So there'd be, like I do a creative strategy for all the brands that we work with. So there could be some aspects that I could get a VA to help and do that. So when we're working with clients, we do a lot of like digging into the background of their customers, trying to find out information about the customers, to build out customer personas and such. So things like that could be outsourced and to a team member, you know, instead of me doing it. But currently I am doing it because I just haven't got around to outsourcing to the VA.
Yeah. So I've been involved in marketing in some way, shape, or form for a good few years, but it sounds like you've got a very modern business undertaking very modern methods to get to your customer from a marketing point of view.
Yeah.
However, you're still doing a lot of the same stuff that we would have done 25 years ago in terms of identifying your customer. You talked about building personas and building avatars and so on. Like that's a new way of doing what has been done for very many years. So you're still employing a lot of the tried and trusted marketing methods that have been in the marketplace for a very long time, right? So I just want to bring all that together. Your business used to be called MJC Media. What's it called now?
So I kind of went off on a tangent there, didn't I?
Good tangent.
I was just thinking that there. So originally it was MJC Media, which we covered kind of everything. And then when COVID hit, I kind of discovered that, okay, well, a couple of my clients that I can't work for them anymore. They had to pause contracts because they were local service businesses. Like one was a bathroom renovation company. So like they couldn't go out and do bathrooms. So they had no need to advertise at the time. So the route that I saw was e-commerce. So I started getting into that a little bit more. And I was originally doing that as MJC Media. We kind of more focus on e-commerce with MJC Media. But then I was thinking about changing, rebranding MJC Media. But what I did was I just opened a new business, basically, that was just focused on e-commerce growth, which is elevation.io.
Elevation.io.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So instead of just scrapping MJC Media, because I still get some leads in through MJC Media, I decided to just open go down a separate avenue and focus on e-commerce with elevation.io. So that's what we do with e-commerce, with elevation.io, focus on e-commerce growth, whether that's with, paid advertising, an overall e-commerce strategy, direct response creatives. We focus a lot on the actual strategy of getting them from where they are to the desired revenue goal. And we do that with, building out their marketing campaigns, as I touched on before, building out customer personas for those guys, and then creating angles based on those customer personas to speak to that individual avatar. Okay. So an example is that, if I just want to explain it a little bit better to people that might not know what I'm talking about, is so you could sell a product. And for instance, we have just brought on a new client who is a supplement brand, and they sell beef organ supplements, beef liver supplements. And they could cast a wide net out, and with their advertising, say if they're doing it themselves or another agency is doing it, they could cast a wide net and they're just trying to speak to everybody. So what we would do is we build different customer personas and then build a marketing angle to speak directly to that customer persona. So for instance, one of their products is beef liver, and it's like a natural, like it gives you energy naturally. Okay, and they're all about holistic. They take a holistic approach. All their ingredients are whole food, and their kind of thing is from farm to supplement. There's no extra additives in there. So their customer personas, we could build them out and say, okay, busy mother, on the go all the time, looking after 3 kids, has low energy. So we'll build a customer persona, and then we'll base an angle off that to speak directly to that customer persona.
Right.
And then we have another angle, say it's a busy professional, goes to the gym a lot, is feeling quite run down. And then we'll build an angle based off that customer persona. So when they see those ads, they're going to go, geez, this is built for me, rather than casting a wide net out and saying this product gives you energy. Someone's going to go, oh, yeah, sure, I'll get a Lucozade for that. For me, whereas you speak directly to that customer. So our thing is we want to know the customer better than they know themselves. And when we're directing ads out with them, they feel it's made for them. They feel it aligned with that ad. And we also want to touch on what the product, not just what the product does. Okay. So we want to touch on how the product benefits them, because when in advertising or in anything, I think people don't care about the features and all the bells and whistles. They want to know, okay, how does this product help me? Okay, what problem does this product solve for me?
Yeah.
So that's what we really try and touch on as well with our advertising strategies. And I think it's a really key thing to actually help a brand scale, rather than, not anybody, I was going to say anybody can do Facebook ads, but not anybody can, obviously. But it's quite easy to run Facebook ads and put ads up and, cast a wide net and just say this product does this and speak, about the product and all its benefits and this and that and the other. But it's not easy to build out customer personas and speak to different angles and stuff like that, So that's generally what we do.
I'm learning very quickly from following the likes of yourself that when you're building a business in this modern way of doing business, there's a few important things. So it seems to me that as well as building up your service, you've also got to build up your own personal brand alongside that.
Yeah.
Is that an accurate summation? Am I on the right track there?
100%.
And what do you do?
Yeah, so I do quite a bit on LinkedIn to build my personal brand. I also do YouTube. Now I should be doing it more regularly than I do, but sometimes, the business has to come first. But I think it is a very, very important thing to build your personal brand. I think it's one of the most important things.
So why is that?
A good question. I think it's if you look at a lot of businesses these days and a lot of people that are doing well, they have a personal brand because people buy into other people. Okay, so for instance, Elon Musk and Tesla, Elon Musk is just, he's a businessman. Obviously, he's quite successful, but he's built his personal brand. Everybody knows Elon Musk. If I think if people didn't know Elon Musk, Tesla wouldn't be half as successful as it is now. Similarly with Donald Trump, he's also built his personal brand. Obviously he is a multimillionaire, he's a business tycoon, all this kind of stuff. When he was going for the presidential election, what he did was he went on all these different type of podcasts and spoke to people. Spoke out and spoke about different things. So people got to know him better, because what they're usually seeing is him on a podium talking this and that and the other, and people say, oh, he's this and that, and but when he's speaking on a podcast, you're getting to know him a little bit more. You're getting to know a deeper level. Even if you don't like him, you might kind of touch on some of the things he might have said, might resonate with you. So I think, the personal brand is, and even with some of our clients that we have, they have a personal brand within their company, so they post and they're active on the socials and they're kind of in the face of their brand. They really do really well because people connect with them. They can see, this isn't just a company. A lot of people can start a company, it's a personal connection means a lot, I think, in this day and age.
So am I buying my Tesla from Elon Musk, or am I buying my Tesla from the factory, the Tesla factory?
I think he has a big influence in it. I think he has a big influence in it.
Right.
Like, yeah.
And in your case, if I look back at Elevation, am I connecting with Matthew or am I connecting with Elevation? Or am I connected with both ways?
I would say to connect him with both me as well. I'd say like more so me, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say more so me, you know.
So you'll get out in front of people, your network, on Instagram as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, LinkedIn, YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the people I have signed as clients would have been through YouTube, Instagram, and the likes, you know, because they can see, and I need to do more of it, to be honest, on YouTube more. So I do a lot of stuff on YouTube that is more so like kind of strategy stuff, and it's not really that personal, but I think a personal touch is needed because, you know, there's a lot of experts out there and they can, you know, people can post stuff online, but I think having the personal touch and people, like, not everybody's going to like it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, like, then some people will, because they can identify with you, or they can identify with your story, and they can see you're an expert in your field.
Yeah.
You know? Not everyone's going to like you, as I said, but like, it's about building that personal touch.
And what's that like? How do you feel about getting out there and exposing yourself, so to speak, from a business point of view on the socials?
Yeah, I'm happy to do it. It's just, for me, the reason I don't do it as often is just time.
Okay.
It's just time.
How much time does it take to build a personal brand?
It takes years. You know, it's not going to happen overnight. I don't think, you know, it can take years. Some people have faster growth than others, but I think, it can take years, and it's always going to be a work in progress, I think.
And is your personal brand, is the strength of your personal brand, is that measurable? I mean, is it measured by the amount of connections you have in LinkedIn, or is it, how do you actually measure that? Because measuring and metrics is something that's obviously very important for your business.
Yeah, I don't think it's really that measurable, and I don't think it equates to the amount of followers that you do have. I think having a large amount of followers can be great, but it doesn't always mean they're the right quality followers. So if you could have like 200 people following you on Instagram that are connected and they align with your personal message or your personal story, and follow you and take your advice and stuff like that, and that can be worth 100 times more than 200k followers of just random people that, you know, just follow you because you have a few good pictures up and whatever it may be.
Yeah.
You know, so it is quite hard to track organically, I think. But I still think it's really, really important to be doing it, because it's something that is going to last over time. You know?
Speaking of pictures, you're a great man at posting all the places that you've traveled to, and you're an inveterate traveler. So
yeah, been a few places.
Yeah. So what's the attraction there? Is it simply to see the world, or you always seem to be accompanied by your son Theo as well? So what's going on there?
Yeah, I think originally I just liked getting out of Ireland. I didn't really like being in Ireland when I was younger. Now, I don't know, that could have been for a number of factors, but I just liked traveling around. So yeah, I originally went to Australia when, like, maybe 10, 11 years ago, and traveled around there, traveled around Asia then, and obviously since I've had Theo, then I just bring him everywhere with me as well, you know, so wherever I go, he goes, kind of thing, you know.
Yeah. So why did you go traveling at that time?
Into Australia?
Yeah.
I just think I wanted a bit of a break from Ireland, to be honest. Like, it was mundane. Everyone's kind of stuck in the 9 to 5. You know, I was younger. I was going out drinking a lot on the weekends, things like that, which things were quite repetitive. I just felt like I was kind of out of place. I wanted to see the world. So yeah, I went straight off. I actually went on my own to Australia. I went to Thailand first, and then, because I had friends there, and then I went on my own to Australia. And yeah, I probably would have been still there only for I had Theo, to be honest.
Did you always feel out of place? Did you always feel different?
Not specifically different or out of place, but I just felt like there was more going on in the outside world that I wanted to experience. and that like things were kind of repetitive in Ireland. You know, everybody did the same thing week to week. And I noticed when did go away and did go traveling, that you come back and everything's just the same. You
So,
know?
yeah, is it still a mundane place? Is it, so what I'm trying to angle at here is it a fact that Ireland is a mundane place with people doing the same thing week in, week out, or is it actually a state of mind that we've got ourselves that leads to that perception?
Yeah, I think it's probably both. I think it's you not. I've noticed when I go back over to Thailand and stuff like that, there's a different vibration, a different energy in the people.
Right.
I feel, you know, even though you might say, you know, Ireland's very 9 to 5 mentality, and everybody, you know, gets up in the morning, goes to work, comes back, has their dinner, sits down and watches Netflix, and then goes to bed. Like that could still happen in Thailand, like, or wherever it may be, but there's just a different vibration, you
Yeah.
know, and a different feeling over there, you know. So I think it is a mindset and an actual fact. I think, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
like I probably have it in my mind. It's just like years and years. That's what you're seeing as an Irish person, and that's just generally the way it is, and it's the way I am now as well. You know, like I don't hear like I have a structure. I have to bring my son to school at a certain time. I go to the gym 6 o'clock every morning, collect him from school, make a dinner, like work, like. But it's just the way it is. It's just the structure that works. And it's the way most people are, because most people, like, they'll have a job that starts at, you know, 9:30, or most people have kids that they have to drop. It's just the way it is, you
Yeah.
know. But I think it's just, as I said, different vibrations sometimes in different countries,
Yeah.
you know, and you pick up on that energy, I think,
Mm.
you know, when you're not accustomed to it, you pick up and there's a different feeling and there's different, seems like there's a different way of living
Mm.
rather than the kind of 9 to 5.
You talked about Australia.
Mm.
You talked even more about Thailand. So you're a repeat visitor to Thailand. What's going on there?
Yeah, so I originally went to Thailand years and years ago. One of my first girlfriends. We were originally meant to go to on a J1 visa to America, and we quickly realized that we didn't have enough money to go there. Like, so they were like, you need, you know, 3-4 grand, because, you know, you'd be there for 3 months and you'd be working and stuff like this. And we quickly realized we only had, you know, maybe like 1,500 or something. But we'd already booked. We'd already booked the visa. We'd already booked the flights.
To the States or
To the States.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
right.
yeah. So
Oh, well.
we went back into this is a time long before you could go on the Skyscanner, like, you know. So you'd go into a travel agency. So we went into one on the Keys there. Can't remember the name, but Trailfinders, maybe, I think it was. That's where we originally went. And so we went back in there and we said to your woman that was working there, we said, look, we booked this, but we don't have enough money. Like, is there anywhere, like, is there any possibility we get the money back, or, you know, change, or we're open to change to go somewhere different? We just don't have any ideas. So she said, look, we can't give you the money back, but we can, if you want to book somewhere today, we can change the things. And we said, okay, yeah, grand. But we didn't know where to go. Like, so she suggested going to Thailand. She suggested
This is awesome.
we didn't have any, like, we were like, you know, you back then kind of times, like, it was before social media. Like, I don't think there was even, I think Facebook actually only came out when we were in Thailand that time. Like,
So what year are we
So-
talking about here? 2005
I don't know, like,
or 8 or 10?
no, it would have been maybe 2000 and, yeah, maybe 2008, 9, maybe.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
kind of
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
We're only quite young, and so we said, yeah, Grant, you book it first, because, yeah, we didn't know where to go, and we booked it and went over. And, like, when you go to Southeast Asia or Thailand or whatever it may be, one of those kind of countries for the first time, and you've never been exposed to it, it's a big culture shock. Like, we were walking around going, Jesus Christ, like, you know, like, it's just completely different. Now I'm completely used to it. It's like my second home, like, but was it like complete culture shock? Like, in a good way, you know, like, it's just so much going on. Everything's like much cheaper. But anyway, yeah, so we went over, and I think we were there for 3 weeks. Had a good time. To me, my girlfriend and one of my best friends at the time, went over, had a good time. and kind of just got like that bug and my traveling bug in my mind. Like, so I was only ever used to going to like Spain or, Portugal, as, normal people do, back in those days. But yeah, kind of got the bug in my mind. So then I actually went back. When I finished school, I went to culinary arts college.
Okay.
Chef, so I was originally a chef. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So as a chef, I did a few jobs now back over my time. I was originally a chef, but when we were in culinary arts college, then you had to do work placement. And the general consensus was everyone went to France because it's like French cuisine and that's the home, all fine dining and all this kind of stuff. But there was a couple of people in that room in my class I was friends with, and they were like, "Where did you go to Thailand?" And I jumped at the chance. I said, "Right, I'm going with you." Like,
So you'd been to Thailand already?
I'd been already,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
and I wasn't with the girlfriend now at this stage. But yeah, I jumped at the chance. So we went over to Thailand with them, and we did a work placement there on PP Island in like a 5-star resort.
What a spot.
Yeah, so it was very, very good. Like, made a lot of good connections, made some really good friends over there in the resort, like Thai people.
Yeah.
Because we were like, there was no other foreign people working there. Like,
Was this before the
tsunami?
The tsunami?
Would have been after.
Just after the tsunami.
It would have been a good few years after it now.
Yeah.
The tsunami was like 2005.
Okay.
This is probably 2010, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's good for you. The whole place was rebuilt.
Getting back on its feet.
Yeah. But the resort was like no other Westerners working there. Like, so it was like 4 of us rocked up, and like they all loved us. Thai people are generally very friendly, so they loved us. Worked there for like 2 months. As I said, made some really good friends, Thai friends. A lot of people from Burma working there as well. And had generally very good experience. Then came home, worked some more as a chef, and then's when I decided to go to Australia. Like, but that's kind of the original trip with the girlfriend was what kind of brought me into really liking Thailand. Just like the culture, like the people. As I said, I felt there was a different vibration, the weather, like everything. I felt when I went to Thailand, like I felt like I was more home than I was than in Ireland. Like, it was strange,
Sure.
I think it's just everything feels a little bit more free. There's not enough as much pressure on you from society. It's not as much pressure on you from peers. You can walk around, wear what you like. Not that you don't, I don't anyway. Like, I'm not particularly like fancy dresser. Like, I like to look well, but like you could feel, you could walk down the road in a pair of flip flops, and Thai people aren't judging you or that kind of thing. So that's where I kind of started. Yeah.
Very good. And when did your son arrive? Is he of that era as well?
Yeah. So that's a funny, well, it's a complex kind of story, to be honest, which I'll get into. So when I went to Australia, I'd originally planned to go for a year in Australia, and Australia was another interesting trip as well, because when I arrived in Australia, I arrived alone. My friends were kind of following me in the next week or so. So my friend that followed me over. So I arrived alone. I was in a hostel just on my own. And back then I was not that I was nervous, but when looking back on it, I was quite lacking confidence, because I remember going into the hostel in Australia, like on my own, and I was worried, like, geez, I'm going to have to go into a room with all these people I don't know and talk to, like, I have to speak to people. I was traveled, I'd been around, but it was lacked a little bit of confidence, I think. So I went to the hostel, stayed there. First person I met was a fellow from Mayo. My grandmother's from Mayo, so I was instantly able to talk to him about that, and he was grand. But then I met another guy from Wales, and he was telling me about what he does and over there and stuff. And he said, "I'll get you a job." So he worked on this mine. It wasn't actually a mine site, but it was a surveying site in the middle of the Western Australia, or in the middle of central Australian desert. So what they did was they would test the ground for minerals throughout the desert. So if they found minerals in that area, they'd buy that land.
Gotcha.
And drill for oil, or wherever they were drilling for. So I was saying I wouldn't be able to do that. He said, all you need is a driving license. So anyway, my friend arrived and he had a driving license as well. Your man got us jobs, got us interviews, got us jobs. So within about 2 weeks of being in Australia, we were being flown out on a 6-seater plane to the middle of the Australian desert. They'd never done this job before in my life. They gave us all training, they trained us up. But generally what you were doing was just walking in a line all day in the middle of the desert and kicking these things called geophones into the ground. Hard job, like 6 weeks. We were doing shift work, so it was 6 weeks on, 2 weeks off. We didn't get a day off for 6 weeks, and it was 40 degrees, like, and you had to wear like your head to toes covered in a hat, you had gloves, everything, because the sun's so strong.
Yeah.
If you let it touch your skin, like, there's a possibility you're going to get skin cancer or whatever it may be.
It's fry.
Yeah. So did that, like, very hard, but again, very good experience. Like, you'd see brilliant sunsets, snakes, lots of different kind of wildlife, kangaroos going by. Just different than anything I'd ever done before in my life, you know. And the pay was quite good. Like, we got 12 grand for the 6 weeks, which I'd never had that in my bank account for my life. I think I probably did the most I'd had was probably like 2 grand or 3 grand. Like, I went to Australia with 500 euro in my back pocket. Like, didn't have any money. Like, didn't have
None there.
But that was how it was done back then.
Yeah.
I didn't care. Like, my mindset was, I'd just get a job, like, it'd be great. You know, it wouldn't be like that now. Like, I'd be kind of like, I need a certain amount of savings to feel cool. I was even a child, like, have responsibilities. But so done that, and then my plan was, I actually worked as well as a chef in another place in a mine site, but my year was up then. Went back to Thailand, because it was coming to the end of summer in Ireland. So I didn't want to go home. I didn't want to go home then, because I was like, well, like, it's coming to the end of summer, you know, everyone's kind of getting back into just their, you know, everyone, when you're younger, are going to festivals, doing different things in the summertime, whereas, like, comes to September, everyone starts to quiet down. So I was like, there's no point going on now. So I go back to Thailand. So I went to Thailand, got a job there.
As a chef?
No, I actually got a job I was working for a nightclub. So I knew people from my previous visit to Thailand, they were working in a nightclub called the White Room nightclub. It's owned by Swedish guys, and I kind of knew them, so I got a job off them, so I could be selling tickets for the nightclub, promoting the nightclub. People came in, you were upselling them to, you know, VIP, and selling them bottles and stuff like that. So that was my kind of whole thinking. I'll just go to Thailand for 6 months, and then I'll come home, or 5 months, whatever it was, and I'll come home for Christmas. And then I'll start, because I'd done the work in regional Australia, like in the desert, that automatically, if you do, I think it's 90 days work, you automatically get a second-year visa. So I said, I'll go home for 6 months, or I'll go to Thailand for 6 months, then go home for Christmas, see my family, whatever it may be, and then go back to Australia. Like, so when I was in Thailand, you know, young, having fun, you're working in a nightclub, you are constantly drinking. By the end of it, like, I didn't want to see you drink, because it was like, that was your job. You were paid to sell people, you know, upsell them to VIP, and you got free drink yourself. And it was good. It was good crack, like, and like, I met a lot of funny people along the way in that part of my life. And I met a lot of, like, you'd be amazed by the amount of Irish people I met, like, there. I met some fella that had sold me a phone a year before, but randomly, like, and I was looking at him when I was in the nightclub, and I was like, do I know you? And he said, no, I don't think so. And I said, you sold me a phone. He was like, I don't think it was me. Like, and he was like, oh, no, it was me. I was just worried the phone broke or something. I was like, you know, like, you know, just
in the middle of Bangkok.
You know, this is in Phuket. This is in Phuket, yeah. And so I was kind of seeing a girl there. Now, it wasn't very serious. Like over there, you have to kind of think. It's like, we were working in a nightlife area, so it was like, it wasn't like real life, you know. But I was kind of seeing a girl there. Nothing mad serious. Like, went on a few dates, went to the cinema, things like that. And but yeah, so like, I came to the time where I was going home for Christmas and said our goodbyes, and that was kind of it. Like, you know, didn't think anything else about it. Like, and got home, had the Christmas, and a couple of days later, then she texted me and she was like, "Oh, can you talk?" And I said, "Yeah, what's up?" And blah blah. And she said, "I'm pregnant." So
Boom.
Yeah. So I was, what do you mean? What are you telling me for? Like, you know, kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
and like, because that's when someone says that to you, they're kind of wrong, yeah. And
Yeah.
but anyway, so it was obviously like my son, like, you know, and so that was a big kind of shock because it's not something it's not a general thing. You know, it's not like you were seeing the girl from down the road and you were kind of on and off or whatever, and she said she's pregnant. You know, it was miles away. It was in Thailand. You know, all this kind of stuff. So it's a big shock. So it took me a long time to kind of process that and kind of come up with a plan of, like, you know, what are you meant to do there? Do you stay at home? Do you just, you know, there's loads of different things that go through your head, you know, but I kind of just made a commitment then because, as I said, we didn't even really know each other fully. You know, there's cultural differences, there's language barriers. She's really good English, but there's still language barriers and, you know, different things. If you say you're talking to an Irish or an English girl, there's a lot of different, you know, different differences, you know, between the two. But I then made a commitment to them. I just said, look, I'm just going to go back over and, you know, handle what my responsibility there. I didn't know how, I didn't know what way it was going to work out, but I stayed in Ireland for a good while. I didn't go back over because because being in Thailand, although I was working, the previous time, the 6 months or the 5 months, like the money dwindles because you're not getting paid that much, and you know you can live quite cheaply there. But like if you want to enjoy yourself and you're going to beaches and you're renting, you know, your transport, your rent, different things like that, the money kind of dwindles. So I didn't really have that much money, and I knew myself that if I was going to go back, I didn't know when I was going to come back home. Do you know, that way, and I had a child that I was going to have to look after.
Now, I need to just interject there. It strikes me that most people, and this is a generalization, so if I'm offending anybody, I apologize, but most people at that point in your life would have blocked the caller, refused to take any more communication from the young lady in Thailand, and hoped never to hear from that person again, right? So what was it within you? What were your values like at the time, or what are your values that made you want to own that situation that you found yourself in and take responsibility for it?
Yeah, great question. Well, like a lot of those things did go through my mind, you know, at the time. Like, not, for instance, just block her and, you know, never speak again or whatever. But like, there is a lot of doubts, a lot of kind of like insecurities. You know, maybe like you're kind of thinking, oh, well, like, is she just trying to do this to like get money from me or whatever it may be? But I think realistically, I remember lying in bed one night, like thinking about it and saying to myself, like, I could never like just have a child like that I know is mine, like my child, like just over the other side of the world, not knowing if they're safe, not knowing if they're provided for, not knowing if, like, you know, if they're worried, if they're scared, things like that, that like I'm there for them. Do you know that way? And I think it comes down to the way I was raised and the values that were instilled in me when I was growing up. Do you know that way? I always had like my parents had together a lot together for like since I can remember, maybe since I'm about two, but like I always had like a lot of love given to me. I always had very strong women figures in my life. Like my nanny was quite a strong figure in my life. My mother would have been quite a strong figure in my life. My dad also as well. But I think that played a really key role in it, like, you know. Um so yeah, that's just I just made the decision,
And it was an easy decision
and
in the end.
yeah, it wasn't like I wasn't going to make it. Like it was an easy decision. It was a hard situation, you know. So it was a hard situation. It was hard to wrap my head around it, you know that way. Like I didn't tell my mother like for a long time. Like,
Yeah.
I kept everything to myself because I was like, how I was originally going to tell her like at one stage, and she was away, and then I was saying, "No, sure, I'll tell her when I get back." And then I was like, "Oh, sure, I can't tell her now because it's past the point of this." And then what's she gonna say? Like, so not that I was ashamed or anything like that, because I wasn't. It was just kind of like in I never knew someone in that situation. Yeah, you knew people that got that had kids and they were young or whatever, but you've never heard of a situation where someone went to Thailand and came back like a baby, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it
yeah.
was quite a tough situation, but as it was an easy decision. Like I don't think I'd ever like just leave, like block or leave or just try and forget about it. Like,
Yeah.
because like, yeah, I created the situation. Like, it was my responsibility.
Okay.
So
Is that something that you carried through to your business life now?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Like, my clients are my responsibility. If there's something that's wrong, or if there's something that needs doing, even if it's not my general task, I'll jump in. Like, we had a situation a few weeks ago that we were launching a Valentine's Day campaign, and my team members, my team members work kind of, well, one section of them, my team members, two of them are in the UK. So their kind of hours are a 9 to 5 hour, and they were finished. And the business owner said, "Oh, can we not get the campaigns live before the weekend?" And I jumped on the laptop at 9 at night, like, and got everything done for on the Facebook side for that weekend. So I think, yeah, I would carry that over into the business side as well, because it's like, I would take pride in the service and the delivery being done to the full as it can be. If so not everything goes right. There is mistakes that get made, and there is, sometimes those results are bad or whatever, but you can't control that. Everything that's within my control, I try to do the best.
So you're demonstrating time and time again, it seems, that you're a person that, has a very strong set of values, and you will take responsibility even if you're in the shit. And is it the protection of your personal brand that drives you to those decisions, or is it your care and attention to your customers' needs that drives you there?
I think it's more so the care to the customers' attentions and needs, because it'd be very easy to hide things from a personal brand. Like, I know people that have personal brands and they have a crap service, but they still grow their personal brands. Do you know that way? So it's very easy to hide bad results or whatever it may be. But if you can deliver the best service possible, and as I said, it's not always going to be correct. Like, we had some clients that came on board and they didn't get great results but there's other factors influencing that. But my thing will be, deliver the best service possible on our end. What we can do, we'll try and do the best as we possibly can.
Fast forward, obviously you're solo dad now with young Theo. How old is he now?
10.
He's 10.
10.
And he travels everywhere with you.
Yeah.
He's
probably, yeah.
he's getting a really great view in the world. You're an entrepreneur in the middle of building your business. You've got a very busy life. What's it like being an entrepreneur and a solo dad? Is it an easy thing to manage, or what are the big challenges you've got there?
Yeah, it can be very challenging. It can be very challenging at times. But saying that, I wouldn't change it. I often think there's often times where I think there's a lot that can get on top of you, because you have the extra responsibilities. With time, my time is limited, more so than maybe another entrepreneur or another agency owner that's in my position. But I always try and have a good outlook on it. Like, I just feel that like, I'm lucky, and that's a driving force, I think. And it's the whole reason that I started the business, was because of Theo, So although it can be challenging, like, there's certain times where like my day is very regimented, as I touched on before. Like, from I get up at 6 a.m, I go to the gym. I have to leave the gym at 7:25 on the dot. And my gym's only, like, you can see it from Theo's bedroom. It's not far away, but I have to leave at 7:25 on the dot to get back here for 7:35 to get him out of bed, to get his breakfast. And between that time, I go getting him up out of bed, getting him his breakfast, giving him his clothes. Obviously, he dresses 10 now, like, he dresses himself just about. But like getting him his breakfast, making his lunch, getting him out the door at a certain time. Like that time, like I have to do that, you know, like it's not like you can just bypass that and work. Like, you know,
Yeah.
so those times like are committed to him. And then there's other times where, you know, you have to do homework and things like this. But with the time that I do have, then I just try and be as focused as possible. And then I always, like, it's a lot of it's to do with mindset as well. You know, you could just think to yourself, oh, geez, I don't have enough time and this and that and the other, which is sometimes the way I do think, like in my head, which is, it's a negative kind of thought process that sometimes goes through my head, but more times than not, I just feel like I'm lucky. My son's healthy. Like I like have a nice home to live in. I run a successful business, and you do what you can, like when you can. You know, that way. If you just focus on the negative, like not that it is even negative, but if you focus on the things that you think, okay, I have time restraints here, that's going to affect you even more. You know, so it's all about the way you think about things and the way you kind of talk to yourself, I think. Because, you know, there's people out there that probably have 3 and 4 kids and are run multi-billion dollar businesses, you know. So it doesn't really matter. And I think it's a driving force for me, it really is. Like, you know, I'm doing this for him. So he has a comfortable life. So, you know, we can, you know, if we want to go on a trip here and there, so he has a comfortable future and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. You talked a lot about mindset. You talked a lot about fitness. Some people talk about God. Some people talk about meditation. So it seems like, and this is a question, it seems like fitness and mindset are the two things that you work on to keep you in peak condition in order to grow your business. Is that a fair comment?
That would be very fair.
Yeah. And if there was one element of mindset that sticks out more than anything else for you as the most important thing, what would it be?
I think it's the way you talk to yourself, the way you speak to yourself, and the way you think about yourself and your situation is very, very important. Like, there's a good quote from, I think it's Henry Ford, and he says, "The man who thinks he can and the man who thinks he can't are both right." So, like, you know, if you're speaking to yourself and saying like, "Oh, geez, I can't do this," you won't do it. Like, you know, if I had said to myself when I was starting this, like, I didn't know anything about marketing. Like, I was a chef. You know, I was a chef and then I was a truck driver, actually. And
It's another story.
I did, yeah, that's another story. Again, to the second podcast. But yeah, so like, I didn't know anything about marketing. I didn't even, lots of people that know me say, like, I'd say to them, "Oh, why didn't you get into this?" And they're like, "Oh, no, I'm not good in the computers." I wasn't any good in computers. But if I had have spoke to myself and said, "Geez, you're not good at computers, you couldn't do any of that sort of stuff," I wouldn't be doing it. Like, I said to myself, I saw other people doing it and said, "He's doing it, I'm going to do that." Like, if he can do it, like, he's not different than me, he's a human. Like, why can't I do that? You know?
And is that how you're wired, or is that a learned skill to be able to have the right self-talk?
I think it's a bit of both for me. I think it's a bit of both. I was never, like, my mother will tell you if she was here now, like, I was never one to conform to what everyone else is doing. If I wanted to do something else, I'd do it, like, regardless if she said it or not. Like, I was terrorized her growing up. So that's an aspect I think I've brought into the later years in life in a positive way. You know, if I want to do something, I can go and do it. But I think, like, it's also a learned thing. You have to practice on it as well, because you can get into a habit of maybe speaking to yourself, or, you know, thinking in a negative way that's not going to positively affect you. So I think it's always to be working on yourself. But I think, you know, for me, it was always kind of in there, but it took me a certain amount of years to discover it. Like, I was never really too good in school, not academically, like, I was quite smart, but, like, you know, behavior wise. But it was because I just, you know, the things didn't interest me. You know, I was interested in doing what I wanted to do, which is in the later years has been like a positive thing, because it's brought me more focus onto the things that I actually want to do, and I can actually aim my focus at them.
when I speak with you and some of the people that you know, like John Mannion and Wendy McLone
Mm,
and a few others, I'm trying to look for commonality across the
mm,
group, and certainly one of the commonalities is the amount of work that you guys do on your mindset, on being in peak
mm,
mindset condition to
mm.
run your businesses. Is there anything else? The other thing that strikes me is bloody mindedness is a really important trait for people who are entrepreneurs who want to go somewhere in life and want to do things.
Mm.
Would you call yourself as a bloody minded person? You've talked about as a young person doing the things you wanted to do. Are you uncompromising in your desire to go somewhere, or are you flip floppy?
I'm quite open minded. Like I'd be quite open minded. I'm not like very one dimensional. Like we have to do this things this way. Or I want to go specifically this way. I'm quite open minded, but I just think like having like working on yourself and working on your mindset and being able to recognize, negative things within your mindset is really important, I think, because it can often happen. Like with me, I can like the time restraint thing is a big one for me. Like I might speak to myself and say, like, oh, you don't have time or whatever, and you feel quite rushed, which I don't. It's a fact that sometimes I don't have time, but like you have to speak to yourself in a different way and reword your mind and kind of wire your mindset into thinking that. But I'm quite open with things. Yeah, I'll be quite open.
You've been through a lot, you've seen a lot, you've been to a lot of places, you've got great experience in business and in many other things. I'm dying to ask you about your culinary skills because it's
Yeah.
a pet love of mine, and we can come back to that another day. What I'm interested to know is, are you on the right track now? After all of that experience, are you on the right track?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't think I was ever on the wrong track, to be honest. You know, although like I've had some, ups and downs throughout my life. Like I wasn't always in good places. Like I think before I had Theo, not that I was in bad places, but I wasn't living to my full potential, if that makes sense. I always knew, like when I was driving the trucks, and that was when Theo was quite small, he was a baby. I always knew that like I'd more to give, like I'd more to give in the world than and I give him quite a lot, like with Theo, like, and that is a big driving factor, and it's one of my purposes. Like, they say like Jim Rohn, I like Jim Rohn, I listen to Jim Rohn and read some Jim Rohn stuff. Like he said, like, purpose is a really, really big thing. If you don't have purpose, you're kind of going on like you've no direction really. Do you know that way?
Where can you take this? Where can you take the business, and where can you take Matthew?
Originally, I wanted to grow the agency to like, 100, 150K per month a revenue agency. Well, I had a call with somebody the other day that was in that position, and he said it was one of the most stressful times in his life. So now that's kind of made me kind of backtrack and wonder, where do I want to go? Do I want to bring the agency up to a certain point where it's, we're fulfilling clients, like have a comfortable living, which I do already, but to get to maybe a bit of a next level, and then just have a good quality of client, good network of client, um, and growing my personal brand, and then maybe branch off into do something else as well. So for me, it's not all about the money. I don't
No,
think.
it's not, because I'll just share an observation
Mm,
that you talked about earlier on. You talked about your experiences working out in the outback in Australia.
mm,
A flight in a six-seater aircraft out into the middle of nowhere. And you said it was an amazing experience. And
mm,
for most people in your situation, they would have said it was an amazing experience because I got 12 grand in my pocket, right?
mm.
But you said that it was the most amazing experience because I got to see the sunset. I got to
Mm.
see loads of nature. I got to see amazing animals. I got all stuff, and I earned a few quid. So it
Yeah,
tells
yeah,
me that you're not all about the money, are you?
yeah. No, no, no. I think money is very important, and my parents or whatever other parents would say, like, money isn't everything. I can't buy happiness, etc. I think money is very, very important. Like it's a very important part of anybody's life because I guarantee you, if you have no money and you have all the outside stresses that a lot of modern people have, you're going to be unhappy. You know that way. But I don't think having all the money in the world and being a multimillionaire is generally it might be where you could have a downfall. There's a balance that you have to have where you are having those experiences. If you're making too much money or if you're making a lot of money, but you're too busy to have the experiences or spend time with your family, I think, that's where the kind of downfall comes in. So what my kind of ideal situation would be is to, be making a comfortable living, which is I already as I touched on, but to be just having experiences, comfortable living, being able to bring my son traveling, like we go a few holidays and stuff like that every year, but like being able to have more experiences, spend more time with him, spend more time with other loved ones, build better relationships, whether that be business, personal, whatever it may be. But just to, generally to experience, what life has to offer because, my son's growing up quite fast and I noticed that the last couple of years, like he's becoming, like he was, a little boy now, he's a big boy, like, and I can only feels like it was last year nearly, or a couple of years ago that he was 2 or 3. Do you know that way? So I think it's time with him is very important. That's probably why I was still single, like, I'm still single parent, and because I value the time with him. I also value building the business because that provides a future for him as well. And I think for me, there could have been times where I could have got into relationships or whatever, but it would have been taking time away from either Theo or helping me build a business, which maybe isn't the right decision, but my outlook on it was, it's not point getting into a relationship if you're broke, like, now I know that's kind of might be a kind of shallow thing to say, but like women need time, they need, you need to, bring them places as well. You do need money. And there was a time, it was that time, I think it was the correct time for me to start the business because I had to, I could focus on myself, because focus on the business, there was no outside distractions. I think if I had got a girlfriend or got into a relationship, it would have taken a lot from that. And it does take a lot of time to grow a business and to work on yourself and to work on, there's new things popping up in digital marketing like every year that you have to discover. So yeah, that's kind of my general outlook on it. Yeah.
Last question. I'm going to ask you to dig deep on this one then, right? What's your superpower?
What's my superpower? That's a very good question. I'll have to think on that. I'd say my superpower is probably being the best person that I can, being a good person. Yeah. I would say that's my superpower.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or trying to anyway.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to be said for it. Like, and just even or even my superpower could probably be being a good dad, because I think, it's like, it's important to be a good person to, like, your friends, your family, treat everyone with respect. And obviously then teaching Theo to do the same thing and showing him love, affection, and being like a combined parent, which isn't easy. That way, like there's a lot of times where, say for instance, a couple or whatever, like they've things to bounce off each other. They've, if there's troubles with the child, the homework, school, anything like that. They've conversations, whereas I do it alone. So I think, managing that, being a good person is probably my superpower. Yeah.
Well, I think it's in far too many cases these days when you look at people's online presence and you look at the way they're trying to build a brand, you'll find a very different person online than you will in real life, right? Because people are creating a persona online and they're developing, they're trying to develop an image. What is really interesting about you and what's really impressive about you is that what you've just described is you to a core, in terms of your superpower and so on. And that rings through in your online presence as well, because one of the reasons I wanted to come and talk to you was because that is exactly like you're a very authentic person, and that comes across really strongly and in your socials and so on. So if I have any words of advice, not that I'm here to advise, but keep that up, because your authenticity and your honesty shines through in everything that you do. And I must say, it's been a real pleasure talking to you today.
100%. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I hope we can tune in, over the next months or years and follow the progress of what I'm sure is going to be an atmospheric rise in the business world as well.
100%. Appreciate it, Nicky.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us, and best wishes to Theo as well.
Thanks very much, Nicky. Yeah.
All right, Matthew.
Thank you.